Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Save SA Wine live stream. It is the 3rd of November, and it's another fabulous day in the Winelands. Just to say, we need to keep up with the news. The American presidential elections will be today for those interested. We're not really a news channel, but it's something interesting today. And while we're waiting for the news there, we can enjoy some South African wine. So we start off this morning by saying be fabulous, and we want to give a big thank you to our sponsors, the Fishwives Club. The Fishwives Club has been sponsoring our live stream consistently, so thank you for that. And they want to invite us to be fabulous by joining the Fishwives Club Boutique. So to look fabulous, go to the Fishwives Club Boutique.com. And if you leave a comment on this video or somewhere on any of the Fishwives Club posts, they're giving away 100 Rand gift cards randomly to people that are commenting, and you can be a winner. Then we want to also invite everybody to join the movement. Come to facebook.com/groups/Save SA Wine. That's facebook.com/groups/Save SA Wine. We need everybody to come and support us. The South African tourism industry is going to be having a very dry tourism season. It's already November, and England has now gone into a lockdown, and it seems that we are not going to have a lot of tourists. So this is going to be a difficult time, so please come and support us. But there's still many things you can do in the Winelands. One of the fabulous things you can do is to go have the most famous pairing in the Winelands. That's at Clos Malvern. It's their ice cream and wine pairing, and just go to the website closmalvern.co.za and book yourself an ice cream and wine pairing. This is unique. This is fabulous. It's in the fabulous Devon Valley, just 5 kilometers from Stellenbosch. And yeah, why not do that? And then again, why not go have breakfast in the Winelands? There's many places you can have breakfast at. Comes to mind, our friends at Haskell has a breakfast with a view from Wednesday to Sunday. So go support that. But our next project, and the thing that we want most of your support for, is our hashtag Save SA Wine mural. This project is launching on the fantastic feedback from the 60 in 60 campaign. Thanks to everyone here, we've reached over 300 people per month, and this created a much needed buzz around the South African wine industry. Thanks a lot to Erica Taylor for organizing this. We are partnering with Robinson Sinclair, the wine merchant, and Baz-Art, and taking over the corner of 199 Loop Street in Cape Town. And this mural will debut on the first Thursdays Cape Town in December. So message Erica or message us for more details. Use hashtag Save SA Wine mural, Save SA Wine, and hashtag Drink South African. Then with every live stream we do a featured podcast, and our featured podcast for today is with Robin Brostreit from Remhoogte Estate, and the explainer video will be played first, but listen for the story about the Cullinan diamond. I don't know how many people know it, but there's a family in Stellenbosch, particularly in Remhoogte Estate, has got a history connected to the Cullinan diamond, which is part of the British Crown Jewels. So listen to this, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:30.
About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for your latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Before we start today's show, I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to our sponsor, Lisa Loves Wines. Lisa also shared with me that she has a very special offer for our listeners. I'm not sure if our listeners are aware, but magnum-sized bottles are becoming very fashionable in Europe, and I personally think that South Africa will follow suit shortly. So as part of her Big is Beautiful campaign, Lisa will be offering a 20% discount on the Chronicle 1.5 liter from Remoorte. This is a 1.5 liter Magnum, and I will ask the winemaker to give us a bit more information on this wine later in the show. This is a great deal. Father's Day is just around the corner, so I would suggest that you go grab this. We will leave the details and links on how to get this awesome offer inside the description. Now, on with today's show. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today I'm talking to Rob and Chris Bouwstreet from Remoorte, a brother team. Welcome, guys, to About the Winelands.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Will.
So I think our listeners will be really interested to hear how you guys as brothers ended up working together and how you managed to work together without killing each other.
Good question. Okay, I'll just give you a bit of a background. So Chris and I, and our family, we're originally from Johannesburg. Our father was involved in construction. They're mainly developing lodges and that sort of thing, game lodges, but always very passionate about wine. And in 1993, him and my mom decided they wanted to make the move to the Western Cape and actually get into the wine industry. And in 1994, they found a property end of 1993, and in April 1994, we moved down during the elections. Chris and I were young. I was 10, Chris was 12. So we grew up here in Stellenbosch. And that's how we arrived here. But we went to school here. After school, Chris studied winemaking at Stellenbosch University. And then when I finished school, I went more the marketing route and ended up in the beer industry. So Chris, after traveling internationally in that, he came back in 2007, and then I came back in 2011. And then in terms of working together, I think, we're quite lucky that we both got very separate sides of the business and separate sort of interests in terms of Chris loves the vineyards and the winemaking side. He's obviously also very helpful with the sales side, but I prefer more the business marketing side and don't tend to get my hands dirty as often as Chris does. So I think that's important for us, is that we've each got very separate sides to the business. And although we, as a family business, obviously we do help each other out a lot in each other's department, but we sort of, we focus on our separate interests in the business, really.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think so. And then just to add to that, so just about Remoorte itself, the farm, we obviously bought in 1994, as Rob mentioned, and moved down. But the farm's we still got the title deeds from 1812, and it was going before that, but that's kind of a year when they gave out a lot of the title deeds to the area, and we actually the third family to own and live on the property. And then we're obviously me and Robert, obviously second generation. We took over from my dad on the farm itself.
Interesting. Have the farm always been under vines, or did you guys start the winery? Or
no, it's always been under vine. So we actually a few years ago, a lady from Australia emailed us, and she was researching her family history. They were originally from South Africa. One of her ancestors was the constable, or the local police captain at Klapmuts, which is just down the road from us. And he was there from 1790 to 1792. And then on the records, it shows that after that, he made a living making wine it was then De Remoorte. It's now just Remwürde. So we know it was going from then, and they mentioned winemaking then, but when we took over, there was no winemaking happening. It was just growing, but vines have been here from the beginning. But obviously it's changed a little in that all the vines were planted kind of in the valleys and lower down, where since we've moved on, we've moved all the vines higher up, so up onto the slopes, looking for more exposed sites and sort of steeper slopes, better sites for vineyards.
Well, that's interesting. So you guys actually were the first people to actually make your own wines. I assume before that it all went to a cooperative or something, the grapes.
Exactly, yeah. So like a lot of the South African wine industry, you know, it was, especially in apartheid, it was very, everything was kind of quite controlled, and most of the stuff went to cooperative sellers. There was very few independent sellers. But yeah, my dad made the first wines here in 1995.
So you have your wines are exciting. Can you tell us a bit about your wines and also the free to be wines? What does that mean, and you know, how did it all start?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, we're passionate about being an estate. So from vineyard to bottle, we do on the property itself. So, I mean, the Remwürde range of wines are quite established. Obviously, my dad having started making them, I think myself and Rob, we've refined it a little in that we've cut one or two lines and sort of refined our portfolio. So we have 6 main wines that we produce now, which are, we do 2 Chenin Blancs. So Chenin's our main white focus under Remwürde. And then we do a varietal pinotage, a varietal Merlot, then our Chronicle, which is a Cape blend, and then our reserve is our Sir Thomas Cullinan. So we've got 6 wines under the Remwürde stable, which, as mentioned, you know, Remwürde are quite established. We've been making it for a long time. We've got to stay consistent, and so people kind of know what to expect. Where free to be, we started about 3 years ago. 4 years ago now. The idea behind the free to be was to just allow a little bit of space in the cellar to be a little bit more creative, to try different techniques, maybe different varietals. So it's basically wines that are not under our Remwürde, you know, they're not, they don't have to be as consistent as the Remwürde wines. So we try and keep it interesting with the free to be by changing, you know, varietals or styles every year. So we do a red and a white every year, and there's no kind of recipe on what it is. But generally the reds, we try and make fresh, light, and, you know, really juicy, easy drinking reds. And then the whites we've varied. We've done a skin ferment Chenin, Weisse Riesling more recently. But yeah, so the free to be is basically limited, very limited quantities, but something that allows me to play a little bit in the cellar.
Well, that's interesting. Do you think that the actual market is also changing? Maybe, you know, a lot of people I talk to mention that millennials are changing our tastes a little bit. Is this part of the reason why you guys are experimenting?
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, the free to be created an opportunity for us to create to make exciting wines that opened up possibly new outlets for us. You know, high-end restaurants, something that sommeliers could really get excited about, skin ferment wines and interesting cultivars. So it's basically opened up a few doors for us where, you know, like Chris said, the Remwürde brand is very consistent and long running. And the free to be is more of sort of a natural style of winemaking, and which is obviously on trend at the moment. And internationally, we found as well with our importers in the UK and the USA, there definitely is a market for a wine like the free to be. There's a lot of excitement about you know, really minimal interference, natural style winemaking, and interesting methods in the cellar as well. So that wine has opened up some doors for us in those markets. And I think, like you said, it tends to be the millennials.
What is the situation with vegan wines and that whole issue?
So, yeah, so I mean, vegan is basically no animal products. And as I'm sure you know, with wine, the additives or stuff that you're allowed to add would surprise most people. I think, you know, the number of, the number of products you're able to add and where they come from is pretty scary. But I think one of our things from when my dad started was that we believe wine's made in the vineyard. So when it comes to cellar, we don't want to add anything and we don't want to take anything away. So we want what you taste in the bottle to be what comes from the vineyard. So we do across all of our wines, we have a sort of a minimal interference or intervention philosophy. So put a lot of work into the vineyards to getting the grapes right, bring them into the cellar, let them ferment, mature them, and then bottle them. So maybe just a little bit of sulfur before bottling, but everything's unfined, unfiltered, and just basically trying to keep our wines as authentic as possible. But vegan, I mean, so one of the main, especially in red wines and white wines, one of the main sort of animal derivative products is protein or albumin from eggs, so that they use for fining, specifically in reds. And fining obviously is removing some of the excess tannin, and it's kind of a rounding and sort of softening process in the wine. But obviously by adding that, it makes the wine not vegan. So it's a bit of a loaded kind of sort of subject, but I mean, we don't, because we don't add anything, we are sort of considered vegan. We're not just certified by anyone, but that's basically that.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be an interesting space going forward. So you guys are also involved with craft beers. Can you tell us, that sounds like, like also a bit of fun. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I think the craft beers came about. So I worked for SAB before I came to the business, and I left SAB in sort of middle of 2011 when craft beer was really starting to get onto the scene. I had a few outlets of mine in Cape Town that started delisting mainstream beers, and they were just listing the craft beers, and there weren't a lot around back then. Chris and I have always enjoyed complex, interesting beers, particularly Belgian style. And through friends of ours, we realized it is possible to make your own brewing setup. So we made a 50-liter setup. We started brewing some beer. I found it quite boring, but Chris enjoyed it. So he made quite a lot of beer, and it was more than we could drink. So we just started selling it from the tasting room, and there was quite a lot of interest, quite a lot of demand. So we developed the brand, which is Wild Beast, which is named after the wildebeest, which we have in our game camp here in front of the tasting room. And we started selling out of the tasting room, like I said, and then there was interest from other regions. I had a friend who had a distribution company in Joburg. He wanted another guy in PE. So then we built a bigger setup, a 500-liter setup. And by the end of 2012, we were brewing flat out and selling a lot of beers. And that was the early days of the craft beer sort of industry before all the other breweries popped up all over the country. So it went quite well. And our focus has always been wine, so that was sort of a side project. And as soon as it became a bit more competitive and everything like that, we decided just to focus on the wine. So we still sell the beer from the tasting room. We've got a few retail stores in and around Stellenbosch that stock it, so we don't make a lot. We actually outsource the brewing now because we needed the brewery for wine storage. So we've got a friend who brews for us, and so the Wild Beast beers are still available, but just from the tasting room in a few retail outlets around Stellenbosch.
Oh, that's amazing. You mentioned the game camp you have. Tell us a little bit about the game on the farm and what you guys are doing in terms of conservation.
So I mean, basically the game started just as moving down from Johannesburg, we used to spend a lot of time in the Lowveld. And like Rob mentioned, my dad, before we came down here, he developed a few game reserves, and wildlife has always been a passion of his. And I think when we set up down here, we removed a lot of the vineyards, as I mentioned, in the valleys, So the valleys were then standing open. So we've now put some springbok, wildebeest, zebra into camps in the valleys, and it's more just a fun, fun to have around. They're kind of like pets. So it's area that we can't, or that we wouldn't really use for vineyards anymore, because it wouldn't give us the quality we're looking for. We've now kind of dedicated to indigenous fauna and flora. So it's something interesting for visitors to have a look at. And it's just a fun thing for us to have around, rather than having the land just standing open. We've put some wildlife on. So, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So you mentioned Cullinan and the Cullinan diamond. I'd love to hear that. I think everybody would love to hear that story.
Yeah, so that was, it's a bit of our family history. So obviously that's why we wanted to give his name to the wine, to our reserve red. He came over with his parents it was the mid 1800s, and his dad started a transport company, and they were transporting obviously with ox wagons sort of up and down the coast, up into the Eastern Cape and that. And on one of the trips, his dad died quite soon after they started it. So Thomas Cullinan was quite young. He was our great-great-grandfather. He took over the business, but it was never really his passion. And he ended up, so he was about geology. And obviously at that time, he kind of started following a bit of the diamond rush and the gold rush, and went to Kimberley and got there too late, and then eventually ended up in Johannesburg. And he started a building company, so he was sort of out of any kind of mining or anything like that. And then he used to go out and sort of look for semi-precious stones and then polish. It was kind of his hobby, polish them up and sell them. And in doing that, he found a volcanic chute outside Johannesburg. It's where the town of Cullinan is today, where he thought he might find diamonds, and ended up buying the farm where this volcanic chute is on. They started mining it, and in 1903 found the biggest, it was at the time the biggest uncut diamond that had ever been found. It's still the most valuable, it's not the biggest anymore, but it's still the most valuable in terms of clarity diamond that's ever been found. It was 3,000 carats, and South Africa was in the process of gaining their independence from Britain. And as a parting gift, the Transvaal government bought this diamond from our great-great-grandfather and gave it to, it was then the King of England. And they then cut it into two stones, two main stones. There are lots of other stones that came off it, but the main or the biggest portion is now the main diamond in the scepter of the British crown jewels, and then the next biggest portion is the main diamond in the crown of the crown jewels, and it's called the Greater and the Lesser Star of Africa. But the Cullinan diamond is what the diamond was called. But at the time, he basically gave the diamond away. The Transvaal government determined the price, which was very low.
And they taxed it as well.
And they taxed it as well. And so
nothing
he
has
got knighted.
changed in that area, right?
Yeah. So yeah, he got knighted, obviously because it was such a unique find. But unfortunately, the Sir doesn't get passed down. So me and Rob aren't Sirs, but we've named our Reserve Red, which is a Bordeaux-inspired blend, after him, the Sir Thomas Cullinan.
So tell me, have you guys at least been invited to the palace for tea at some point, or not yet?
No, our gran's been. My gran and her sister have had tea with the Queen over there, and then when she was out here, but we have not. I went to the Tower of London. I've been to go and see the crown jewels, and I told the guard that my great-great-grandfather found those, and he just told me to keep moving. So yeah, there's no kind of relationship there still.
Well, it's an amazing story, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
So when visitors come to your farm, what else can they, they're going to taste wine, they're going to see the wildebeest pets, and, they're going to hear stories. What else can they expect to experience with you guys?
I think, obviously there's a lot of tasting rooms in Stellenbosch, and everyone needs to have like the unique offering or, some form of differentiation. So I think how we try to be different is that we've the tasting room is, although we're on a busy road, it's not an extremely busy tasting room. We're on quite a sharp bend and people often miss us. So we try and keep it very, welcoming, and there's never big crowds here. So the service is very intimate all the time. And we renovated about 2 years ago. So there's a beautiful sort of outside area and inside area where you can sit with amazing views of Stellenbosch. So you see like this whole 180-degree view of the Stellenbosch mountains with the game camp in front of you. So it's a very beautiful place to sit and do a wine tasting. And then other things we offer is we obviously have the wine tasting and the beers. And in terms of food offering, we do flatbread pizzas. We've got 3 different flatbread pizzas that we make here, and cheese platters. But the focus is very much on the wine. So we don't have a restaurant or anything like that. The idea is just to offer really special wine tastings where people can, enjoy the wines in beautiful scenery, with beautiful scenery.
So back to the wine, where are most of your wines sold? Do you guys export?
Yeah, so it's roughly 50-50. So in the past, it was more 80 export, 20 local. We've put a lot of focus on the local markets in the last few years to develop a stronger sort of footprint locally. And so now we had about 50-50. A large portion of our local sales are through the tasting room, probably about 30% of our local sales. And then obviously just the traditional wine markets like Gauteng and in the Western Cape, PE and the Garden Route. The Lowveld, we've got quite a good partner there who sells to the lodges, and a little bit in the KZN. Obviously now we've started an online shop, which has done really well over the lockdown period. And then in exports, we've got quite a few international partners. So we work from the US, UK, Belgium, Holland, Germany. Then we've got an importer in Mexico, Singapore, Japan, a little bit to Mauritius, and then locally, we're closer to home. It's Botswana and Mozambique. So it's sort of all over, but I'd say the bulk of it is the US is our biggest market, and Europe, split between UK, Belgium, Holland, and Germany.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned your online shop, and obviously, this whole coronavirus has really forced all of us, everyone has to rethink their business models. Do you guys have any other changes or ideas in mind?
I think, through this, it's clear that direct sales are going to just get more and more popular. I mean, people wanting to buy directly from the seller in the comfort of their own homes, whether it's online or through other channels. But yeah, I think we have put more of a focus on our online shop, and we've had help from our sister with making sure that we're keeping active on social media over the lockdown period, just to not lose momentum. So I think going forward, the tasting room is important for us, but trade is still the most important. I mean, our wines, we really want them to be drunk in restaurants and where people can really experience them. And then once they have, follow that out and go and get it from retail stores. So we're not really at any of the big retailers. It's mainly the smaller independent wine shops and bottle stores. But going forward, I think everyone realizes that direct selling and online is more important than it has been in the past, I think.
I think that's true. So what is the most important thing that you guys have learned from your wine journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I suppose, we haven't been in it for that long. So I've been on the farm for 13 years, which I suppose is actually quite a long time. But I think just to stick at it and be consistent. I think, we were talking to a French friend of my dad's when we had just started, and he said, the wine industry is only tough for the first 100 years, and then it gets much easier. So I think it's just keeping at it and staying consistent, and I think that's where we've got to be a little bit careful nowadays in following fads and fashions and what's in and what's not. I think we just want to do what we do the best we can, and try not follow these sort of fashions and fads. So I mean, we've been looking at what varietals to plant over the last little while. And, you know, we know Bordeaux varietals and pinotage, it's what we do best, you know, so we're going to stick at that. And what we're planting now has got to be working for our kids, you know, in 20 or 30 years time. So the vines are still going to be there and they're going to be producing fruit at its peak. So I think it's looking long term, not really living in the now, and not following fads, which is very kind of, it's foreign in the environment that we kind of in at the moment, you know, in the kind of everything must happen now. You know, it's looking at stuff long term is, I think, something that we've really learned to do, and not to get kind of flustered or phased about what's happening in the short term.
I think that's a very important business lesson. You know, if I'm just thinking back to, if you look at a place like Champagne with its history, and they've always they followed the fads in marketing, but the product remained consistent over the years.
Yeah. Mm.
So I think that's quite interesting. Can you guys
Absolutely.
give us your very own wine quote?
Sure.
You can invent one if you don't have one. Or steal one.
A wine quote.
A wine quote. I'm quickly thinking of one.
Wow.
Sure. That you really put us on the spot.
Yeah. We will have one after this.
That's for sure. Maybe you have a glass of wine first before you guys can come up with one.
Yeah.
You'll come up with a few then.
Yeah. I can't think of one now. I think, yeah.
Well, anyway, while you guys are thinking, I'm sorry I stumped you there. I've heard Lisa from Lisa Loves Wines whispered in my ear that, you know, that she's looking at doing some campaign on Magnum bottles. And you're producing one called the Chronicle. Can you tell us a bit more about this wine? And also,
so the Chronicle, we actually, the wine itself began in 2002. It's our estate blend, and the concept behind the wine was to make, you know, we've got our Merlot, Aspect Merlot is very site specific. It's a single vineyard. We do a very site-specific pinotage. So our single varietals are from very specific sites on the property. And I think one of the things that makes South Africa unique in terms of a wine area anywhere in the world is just our diversity in a very small space. So, I mean, we've got a 55 hectare farm. We've got slopes that face every aspect. So we've got north, east, south, and west facing slopes. We've got about 17 different soil types. They're obviously all similar parent materials, but very different soils depending on where on the slope you are. So I think, you know, we've got this incredible diversity in a very small space. And the idea with the estate blend, which became the Chronicle about 5 years ago, we wanted to make a wine that represented the estate as a whole every vintage. So we take a component from every one of our vineyard blocks. And I use the amounts of each component vary every year. So there's no recipe to the blend. We just try and make the best blend we can each year. But I use a component from the whole farm, or components from the whole farm. So it basically chronicles every vintage on the farm, where the Pinotage, the Merlot, our Sir Thomas gives you kind of a very site-specific snapshot, is like an overview of the whole property. So it's a Cape blend. So it's all 4 red varieties we grow on the property, which are Shiraz, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Pinotage. And basically, I make everything separate. I keep each block separate for a year. After a year, we'll make up blends. So we rack it, go back to barrel for another year. So it's 2 years in barrel, all French oak, and then racked and bottled. And the idea with the magnums of the Chronicle is that we wanted to specifically on that one, do a magnum. So obviously 2 bottles at a more competitive price. So it's less, it costs a little less than what 2 bottles would cost you. But the great thing about a Magnum, you know, if there's more than sort of 3 or 4 people at a dinner, a Magnum's an awesome size bottle because it, you know, it lasts a little longer. It does more than 1 round, and they're just really fun to have on the table. You know, there's something about drinking wine out of a Magnum, and then also it matures really well in Magnums. So there are a lot of benefits to larger format bottles, and we wanted to basically bring that at a good price.
So that's interesting to me, you know, because in Europe, it's becoming a bit of a fashion to take a Magnum to a party and stuff like that. We're just talking about fashion and fads. Do you guys think it's going to be something that will take off in South Africa a bit more and become a fashion?
I don't know. It's such a good question. Well, it's very difficult to say because people still always tend towards 750s, you know, to normal size bottles. I think. It's a strange, maybe it's just habits and what people are used to, but we hope it will. I mean, for us, the Magnums have been doing really well, especially around kind of, you know, around the festive season. So like around Christmas, New Year, then again in Easter. I think whenever there's sort of big gatherings or big family gatherings, people love the Magnums. But general everyday wine shopping, I mean, I think it'll always be 750s. But, you know, I mean, the other thing, the Magnums they're big to carry. They, you know, to fit in a fridge, they don't fit as easily. So I think hopefully it's something that takes off, but I don't think it'll ever overtake 750s.
Yeah, I think, well, at the moment, there is something coming up where Magnums could be a little bit of a gift, and that's Father's Day, right? Is soon.
Yes, absolutely.
So anybody listening should go grab a Magnum from you guys for Father's Day. I think it's a fantastic gift. Yeah.
Cool.
So guys, when how do people, if people want to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you guys? How do they buy your wines? What is the way?
The best would be through our website, which is www.remhoogte.co.za. We've got all our contact information on there. Info, there's tasting notes on each of the wines, a bit of information about our accommodation and our tasting room. So that's got all the basic information. Otherwise, anything more, they can contact us directly. So email addresses and contact numbers are on the website as well. Otherwise, Instagram, we Remhoogte Wine Estate, and the same on Facebook, which is a good way just to see what we're up to as well.
And then also just to add to that, I think we've got a YouTube channel. So if you just YouTube Remhoogte or Remhoogte Wines, we've got tasting notes. I've sort of gone through every one of our wines. So if you're drinking one of our wines and you want to know a little bit more about it, have a look at that. They are also on our website, but you can check those videos out. So I think Rob's pretty covered everything.
Yeah, the YouTube one is great because Chris has done a tasting video on the Chronicle. So for those of you who buy the Magnum, that's a good opportunity to get a detailed tasting by Chris on the YouTube channel.
That's amazing. I mean, I think that is also a way forward, right? To get that information and awareness about your wines and stuff out on platforms like YouTube is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, it's been such a pleasure to. Yeah, sorry.
No, I think that was also a result of this whole lockdown, you know, just trying to be more like I usually, so Rob generally does Europe and the East, and then I do the US twice a year, and it doesn't look like those trips are going to happen this year. So we started it for them, you know, to do basically have videos where sales staff could show when they are doing tastings. And we've had good feedback just from the general public. So it's a cool thing to check out when you're tasting one of our wines is to actually have a look at the tasting itself.
Well, that's awesome. Guys, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. I mean, it's been very interesting. Thanks. I know you guys are busy. So thank you very much for spending the time. And good luck with everything. And hopefully we will be back to normal before we know it.
Thanks, Will. Thanks for your time as well. It's been great to tell you a bit about Remhoogte.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Just a quick reminder that you can get that 1.5 liter Chronicle at a 20% discount. So hurry and get in touch with Lisa at Lisa's Loves Wines. The link is in the description. This is, like I said before, the perfect Father's Day gift.